Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Modern Warfare 3 In-Depth. In today's episode, we're going over the Impact Proficiency, and I'm going to give you a warning right here in the beginning that this episode is the most in-depth episode of In-Depth that I've ever made and probably ever will make. There's going to be a lot of math involved today, a lot of build-up, and a lot of explanation, so put your thinking caps on and get ready. The gameplay that you're seeing here is me in an open lobby with subscribers playing a big group of tryhards. I'm using an ACR with focus. I thought that I had impact on it for the whole game. I don't know how I got that screwed up, but I did. So just regard this as placeholder gameplay to keep you guys interested while I ramble on about numbers and facts and things, because it's just not that interesting to watch me shoot people through a wall all the time. You'll also watch me try very hard and go out of my way to try to wallbang people here with no impact and fail pretty miserably at it, so keep an eye out for that. Stop typing that comment right now. Yeah, you, the guy that was just about to say T. Martin already did this and I was ripping off his video. Just stop, relax, and wait. I had a discussion with T. Martin about this yesterday, and he was totally cool with me redoing the impact test. I watched his video, and you're going to see that I'm going to go about testing this in a very, very different way than T. Martin, and we're going to get a lot of different results here. I'm not saying that he's wrong. His tests were probably a lot more practical than what I went over here, because mine's going to be a lot more numbers based. I'm more into the theory of the game and less about shooting through bombs and other kind of things like that. So if you want to see some practical stuff, you go check out T. Martin's video. It's linked down there in the description. If you want to know about core game mechanics, we're about to do that right now. Before we get into the effects of impact, you first need to understand how surface penetration works in Modern Warfare 3. The surface penetration code for Call of Duty games is largely unchanged since Call of Duty 4. They pretty much imported the Call of Duty 4 code over to World at War, over to Black Ops, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3, so this is all not really new stuff here. The main damage factors for surface penetration are, in decreasing order of importance, angle of impact, so that's going to be your most important factor, is the angle at which your bullets are impacting that wall. Next is the type of bullet you're using, what caliber weapon, and the least important factor is the type of wall, because of course shooting through glass does not reduce damage as much as shooting through a car. Modern Warfare 3 does very generally have three types of surfaces. You have light surfaces such as glass, plywood, and some of the thin drywall in the maps. Then you have medium surfaces, which can include some boxes, some of the smaller cinder block walls, and a lot of the concrete structures. And lastly, you have heavy structures, which are reinforced doors, pretty much anything that's metal, and surprisingly the wooden crates and boxes that are laying around, almost all of those count as heavy surfaces. The game pretty much only has two types of bullets. You have small bullets, which are your low caliber rounds, and large bullets, which are your high caliber rounds. This is going to affect your damage through the walls, and most importantly, this is going to affect the maximum angle at which you can shoot through walls. Of course, small bullets don't penetrate quite as well. The game has hard-coded into it a handful of different angles that are very, very important. These angles are cutoff angles, and they also greatly affect your damage. The most important angles to know, the ones that we're going over with today, are 0 degrees, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, and 75 degrees. Don't quote me on that last one because it's about 75 degrees, maybe 80, maybe 85. It's very, very difficult to measure right there when you get into those very small degree differences off from 90. Alright guys, here comes the mathematics that I promised. This is in the map Seatown. The person is standing behind a medium-sized wall, and this is a very good place to measure angles with because as you can tell this area is essentially squared off, so it gives me a really good feel for 45, and then from there I can go from 30 and all these other sort of things. Now, I'm measuring my angle based on that right-hand red line right there, so the red line on the right that's vertical, that's where I'm measuring angles from, and I'm moving outward to the left. It works just the same going to the right and through floors and ceilings, but this is just a very easy way to show it graphically. Now, a head-on straight shot at the target, like I'm shooting at Sentinel over here, is going to be called a 0 degree angle. It would technically be called a 90 degree angle, depending on how you would set up your reference or your axis, but since I'm an engineer, I'm going to put my coordinate system wherever it's most convenient for me. Stepping to the left just a little bit, this is how you would measure a 30 degree angle, with the blue line being my line of shot on King Sentinel, and the little green arc there, that is the 30 degree angle. That's the angle that we're measuring here. Stepping out a little bit further, you can see that we have a 45 degree angle. Pretty simple. A little bit further out, 60 degree angle. This is where a lot of the bullets aren't doing hardly any damage at all. And this last angle here is the furthest out angle-wise that I was able to do bullet penetration to King Sentinel, and I'm I'm estimating that to be about 75 degrees. It might be 85 degrees. The code that I've looked at and the explanations that I've read say that you can penetrate surfaces up to 85 degrees, though my experience is right around 75 or 80, but not 85 is where the actual cutoff starts. So there's that. I hope you guys are ready because we're going to be moving into even more mathematics now. This is the actual formula for wall damage in Modern Warfare 3. What you'll see right there is you take your damage ENT, or your damage entering the wall, multiply it by a wall factor, or what kind of wall you have. Then you have to multiply it by a bullet factor, which determines damage again. Then you have to multiply it by an angle factor. That's kind of the angle that you're shooting at the wall. Not everybody's always shooting at a perfect 0 degrees. They're often off by just a little bit. You multiply all these together and you'll get a damage out, or damage coming out on the other side of the wall, which is what you're going to be doing to the enemy. The first example today is using a silenced RS-ASS. I chose this weapon because I know it does exactly 50 damage at any range, and that never changes. The wall, bullet, and angle factors are made-up factors at this point. I don't have the code, so I don't know exactly what these are. I have pretty good estimates of them, so I've generally just kind of used this as an example to help you guys understand the formula. Picked a wall factor of 0.80 because it's a medium wall, a bullet factor a little bit higher at 0.90 because I have high caliber bullets, and an angle factor of 0.65, which is a pretty low number because my angle is pretty big. I'm not really shooting directly through that wall. So you take your entering damage of 50, multiply that by each one of the factors, which is less than 1, which is going to make it smaller, and at the end you'll find that the bullets coming out of the wall are doing 23.4 damage, which is going to take 5 shots to kill. You'll notice that I shot 6 times. One of those I actually didn't hit him. I didn't get a hit marker. If you count the hit markers, that took 5 shots to kill. Now, since the angle factor is by far the most important factor, you need to know that these angles aren't set in stone. It varies linearly by degree. You'll be doing less damage at a 25 degree angle than you will at a 20 degree angle, and less damage at 26 degrees than you will at 25 degrees. So reusing this example is just some very general estimates and numbers pulled right out of my ass here. I just made these up. These aren't real. Don't quote me on this. You can kind of see that as your degree angle increases, the damage drops until about 60 degrees. You get to doing almost no damage. At this point during testing, it would take 2 or 3 magazines just to kill one person. The last thing you need to know is what kind of weapon you're shooting. You need to know if you're shooting a high or low caliber weapon. The low caliber weapons, the pistols, submachine guns, and shotguns all cut off at a 45 degree angle. That means that if you're trying to wallbang somebody at an angle greater than 45 degrees, as we discussed earlier, it will do absolutely 0 damage and you're wasting your time. The bullet won't even come out of the other side of the wall. If you have a high caliber weapon, such as an assault rifle, a sniper rifle, or light machine gun, then your cutoff angle is 60 degrees. So you can wallbang up to 60, but no more than 60. And a note there, at that 60 degrees, you're going to be doing very, very low damage, so I would recommend that you don't really bother with it. There are exceptions to these. Some of the lower caliber classes, like pistols, the Desert Eagle, 44 Magnum, MP412, those all count as high caliber because they're very, very large rounds. And the UMP45 also counts as a high caliber weapon. There might be more exceptions, I'm not entirely sure. Now that we're finally done with all that gameplay mechanic stuff, let's actually talk about Impact today. Impact is coded to make your bullets do double damage on the exit side of the wall, but that double damage is limited up to 95% of whatever your normal damage would be, so you're not going to do any extra damage by shooting through a wall. In the case of the sniper rifles, a lot of them aren't affected by small walls, so shooting through walls with Impact will not make them do double damage. It'll just set them at 95% of whatever their normal damage is. However, if they were doing something like 20 damage on the other side of the wall, we'll pretend like it's a truck or a crate or something like that, then it will double that up to 40. Or let's say they're doing something, let's pick a weapon like the AK-47, you're close range, you're trying to shoot somebody through a crate, and normally it would be doing like 15 damage on the other side of the crate. Wallbanging will make that 30. Let's say you were shooting them through a little piece of concrete and you're doing 40 damage. What wallbanging will do is bump that up to about 48. It won't go any higher than the normal 49 damage. There is also a decreased effect of angle. Angle's normally the most important factor, but with Impact, the angle doesn't seem to affect your damage very much. When I tested it, the shots to kill didn't change very much until all the way out to about 60 degrees. Then we had a pretty sharp decline. Interestingly enough, it adds up to 30 degrees of angle to your impact. Now I say up to 30 degrees because the numbers that I've read, the actual code, and some of the other people's tests indicate that you can shoot people through walls at up to an 89 degree angle. My tests indicate that at about 75 degrees that stops, maybe at about 85 degrees, but you do get extra degrees of angle to shoot people through walls, which basically means you can shoot more people. There's less stuff they can hide behind, which is very, very important. So let's go back to that RSAS example, but now do it with impact. Now bear in mind these numbers are estimates, they're by no means final, so if I'm wrong here, just give me a break. This is a very general example. You would find that your 0 and 30 degrees are going to be doing about the same damage. Even at 45 and 60 degrees, your damage drop hasn't declined as significantly, whereas previously at 60 degrees it would take about 15 shots to kill, now it's only about 4. And then when you move way out to 75 degrees, which is about your maximum, you'll notice that it's doing very, very low damage. It's almost not worth your time to shoot at people. So you can very clearly see that impact is a very powerful perk if you like to shoot through walls. Now, if you've reached this part in the video, you're going to be sitting there thinking either one of two things. Some of you who are mathematically inclined are going to be like, that's very interesting. Many of you who are not mathematically inclined or haven't had these kind of classes in school are going to be thinking, oh my god, my brain, it's hurting, I think I'm bleeding out of my nose, what's going on? Just shut up, don't say another number. If you say another number, I am going to murder you through the internet. Okay, if that's you, then let's just put the question very simply, is impact useful? And the answer is yes, impact is very, very useful. It's useful because it gives you increased angles which you can shoot through things, although it's only useful if you would normally use this perk anyway. I'm the kind of guy where somebody gets behind a wall, I stop shooting at them. I don't bother, it's not important, I'll wait for them to pop back up. However, if you're the kind of player that does like shooting through walls, if you like going for those wall bangs, those quick scope, no scope, those trick shots, or if you just like pounding through crates and stuff, this perk is extremely, extremely useful, and it'll help you kill people much faster. Gotta say thank you to my subscribers that came out to help me film. That would be Lone Wolf ND, Das Beast, King Sentinel, Keith for Prez, and OKC King. I appreciate all the help, guys, but you're no longer needed. See you around. Well, guys, that's all for this episode. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you learned something useful. In the next episode, I'm going to be reviewing the ACR 6.8 Assault Rifle, though it's going to take a little while because school is kicking up pretty heavy again. If you're bored, you should go check out my friends at Method Gaming and see what they're up to. I post on that channel occasionally, but can't right now because school sucks. Drifter out.